Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Police have fired rubber bullets to disperse protesting students outside the Wits Medical Campus. This comes after students blockaded Empire Road with rocks and burning tyres. Wits students and the Student Representative Council have been marching against some of them being excluded on financial grounds. The SRC is threatening to continue protesting. It says it's fighting for more than 8,000 students who've outstanding debt to be allowed to register. It has also made an appeal to civil society to help raise more than 2 million rand to help students at risk of financial exclusion. Wits University says it has made 10 million rands available to help students experiencing financial hardships. To weigh in on this issue, we're joined now via Skype by the University South Africa CEO, Professor Ahmed Bawa. Professor, thank you so much for making the time. What is your take on the protest?
Good morning, Faith, and thank you for having me on the program again. Yeah, this is a symptom of something deeply systemic. We created a program to address the issue of poor and working class young people in 2017 for the 2018 academic year, and that solved part of the problems that we face. There is a more serious problem now, and that serious problem, of course, is that there's still a very significant category of students who fall outside of the disperse threshold, for whom there is no national, system in place for funding. Whether it be a bursary program or a loan system, or whatever the case might be, there just is no system in place for them. So what we are seeing, I think, is a reflection that that there's a category of students who are deeply impacted by the state of the economy.
When the university says it's made money available for students facing financial hardship, then why are there these issues?
Well, I think you have to remind yourself that the total debt, to the university sector as a whole, is about 10 billion rand. So if the university makes available 10 million rand, that will address the needs of some students. But there's no possibility of the universities addressing this issue, by themselves. This is an issue which is way beyond the capacity of the universities to address. Yeah.
Now, COVID-19 interrupted. Continue.
I was just going to say, the 10 billion rand isn't funny money. It's real money. It's money that would have gone into infrastructure development or maintenance, buildings, employing more staff so that we have a better student-staff ratio, and so on. So it is very much real money, if you like.
I was just saying that COVID-19 interrupted many families' livelihoods. Yeah. What role can your institution play regarding the issue of returning students not being able to register because they're owing?
Yeah, so we work constantly with the Department of Higher Education and Training, trying to understand how to address these issues. And of course, the government itself is very impacted by by COVID-19, by the pandemic. The fiscus is extremely tight. As you might have heard, there's a fairly major shortfall of disperse funding this year, which has enormous consequences. And what we've also been seeing is a kind of a gradual decline in the subsidy funding per student. If you look at the subsidy funding per student, that has been in decline over the last few years. So just generally speaking, I think we are seeing a closing of space, if you like, to address this big issue. Now, of course, there's a call for for donor agencies, the business community, and other kind of organizations to make available resources. But I think we have to just remind ourselves that we are talking about a very significant amount of money. It's an amount that can't be resolved by individual institutions.
That call for donors that you're talking about has also been extended to South Africans in general, especially parents. How feasible is this?
Yeah, I think that, I think the call has to go out. And I think that if there's a possibility of raising resources for this major challenge we have, that would be really important, it seems to me. I'm not very hopeful, unfortunately, that we will solve this problem through this route. Let me just add, that there are 2 or 3 national projects which have been rolled out. In particular, the Ikusasa project, the project that's kind of was galvanized by Mr. Sizwe in Kasana. That has certainly made some inroads, but it's still at a very small level, if you like. It's not reaching the scale that we would like it to reach, and that is, of course, depending on donations and income, if you like, from the private sector organization. So it's not as if there isn't already some activity going on in this area, but it's not going to be solved by this kind of activity, it seems to me. There has to be a national solution to this.
Yeah. Of course, today we're talking about students at Wits University, but this is a constant feature in all the other higher education institutions in the country.
Yes, and I think we must remind ourselves, that at the historically disadvantaged institutions and at the universities of technology, this has been going on for 20 years. Like, it's by no means a new phenomenon. So, it's not as if we don't know that there's a major problem here. We do know that. And what we have to do is go back and really find a sustainable solution. I mean, because otherwise, the beginning of every academic year is going to be disrupted in this way. And I feel for the students, because the students are, of course, desperate to continue their studies. And many of them will find themselves in very difficult situations. But at the same time, one has to understand that this isn't going to be solved at the universities themselves.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying. I'm just reading a tweet sent out by analyst Tessa Dooms. She says one of the biggest lies we tell South African youths is that education is the key to success, when we all know how networks and other forms of social capital best education 9 out of 10 times. Are we having these kind of conversations?
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. I mean, there may be, so let me just say, in a study that was done by a group at the University of Stellenbosch a few years ago, the unemployment rate of graduates in South Africa was about 6% or 6.5%. If you compare that with the general unemployment rate, which sits at 40%, if you take the unofficial unemployment rate, 30% if you take the official unemployment rate, it's still a great value for investment to get a young person into a university degree, into degree programs, and getting them to graduate. So I don't agree with the fact that this is a myth. That students who qualify with university qualifications do not gain from that experience.
Yeah, Professor, I might have to go look at that information, because I also do not think that's correct, the 6% number, because we have these conversations periodically on the show, and I suspect it's slightly way higher. But let's thank you again for talking to us today. The CEO of University South Africa, Professor Ahmed Bawa. Thank you so much for your time.